We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When the architects of our republic wrote these magnificent words in the Declaration of Independence, they were making a promise of equality, so that each and every one of us could fulfill our destiny. That promise was rooted in the natural God-given rights of all mankind, but it's taken centuries and generations to fulfill that promise. It took nearly a century for this country to abolish slavery, and another to end the pernicious practice of segregation. For most of our country's history, Asians were excluded from immigration and citizenship. In Plessy, Supreme Court Justice John Marshall Harlan wrote, "There is a race so different from our own that we do not permit those belonging to it to become citizens of the United States. Persons belonging to it are, with few exceptions, absolutely excluded from our country." It was only after the repeal of such exclusionary laws that the Asian population grew to the point that universities would seek to limit their opportunities. We are gathered here in Washington to ask the Supreme Court to fulfill our founders' promise of equality. The holistic admission system has its roots in this nation's ugly history of discrimination. It was created in response to what universities at the time considered to be the Jewish problem. Harvard president A. Lawrence Lowell blamed anti-Semitism on Jewish success. He compared the university to a vacation resort, and he argued that if there were too many Jews, even the Jews wouldn't want to be there. Harvard devised its holistic admissions process to discriminate against Jewish students and blame those students for their rejection. Today, that same discriminatory process targets Asian Americans. It is racist and demeaning to say that Asian students have the worst personalities. Rather than accepting responsibility for its discrimination against Asians, Harvard defends its so-called personal rating. They blame Asians for having personalities that supposedly fall short of Harvard standards. We know that these are lies. Yes! We know that our children are just as worthy of the same opportunities as everyone else. Yes! Even if we're ignored by the universities, the media, and government officials. We know how to deal with adversity. Many of us are immigrants. My parents lived through the worst of communism in China, and they came to this country to pursue the American dream. We know that life isn't easy, but the beauty of this country, of democracy, of the rule of law, is that we now have our opportunity to be heard and to make our case before the highest court in the land. Yeah. The Supreme Court has the moral and legal authority to tell the truth and reject Harvard's lies. The words "equal justice under law" are inscribed in marble at the Supreme Court's entrance. But our founders' promise of equality still has not yet been fulfilled. That is why we are asking the court to make good on the founders' promise of equality, to recognize the dignity of Asian Americans, and to hold that our children's race cannot be used to decide their destiny. Thank you. Yeah.